Hello, everybody. This is Carla again, and this time I'm going to be reviewing episode 2 of season 8 of the ABC show Castle. This episode is titled XX, and as we expected from last week, it actually shows Beckett's point of view of the events that happened in the first episode of the season, which was XY from Castle's point of view. So basically, in this episode, it starts off right after the last one left off, and it does tell us what went on before, but through a series of flashbacks. And I was kind of interested in seeing the whole thing as it happened to Beckett, but the flashbacks weren't terribly bad or anything, and we still got the answers we needed. And another thing I really liked was the way they shifted between the flashbacks and the actual timeline as it went on. It was a very abrupt switch. I actually liked that. Now, this episode I didn't like as much as I did the first part, but that's mostly just personal preference. I tend to, like in this mystery shows and procedural shows, I tend to like the setup of the mystery more than the actual resolution of it. So I was expecting that I wouldn't like it. I like that feeling of not understanding what is going on. So I was kind of expecting to like the first episode more. That's just personal preference. But it wasn't at all a bad episode. And it was actually very interesting. Not necessarily because of the resolution of the crime itself, but just the emotions involved in. Like, I didn't necessarily care for what the whole mystery was about, but I cared very much about how it affected Castle and Beckett's relationship. It was nice to see, the Castle had that little seed of doubt just because Beckett wouldn't tell him. And okay, as much as we want to idolize romantic relationships and love in general, the truth is, trusting someone entirely completely, even though the facts kind of state the opposite of what they're stating, is very difficult, and it's not entirely a bad thing. Sometimes a seed of doubt is good, and sometimes a seed of doubt, it's just human. That's the way we work. That's the way our emotions work. And I was glad that they made Castle have that seed of doubt that, maybe he doesn't know Beckett as well as he does. The good thing about it is, though, that even though he had that moment of doubt, he still decided to keep looking for her in order to find out what the truth was for himself. And because regardless of that, he still cares about her. Like, one moment of doubt is not going to bring down the entire relationship. Same with Beckett. Like, even if she consciously knows that she and Castle work better as a team, her fear of losing him, of having him be killed, just like her mother was, of losing someone else that she cares about because they got involved in something they shouldn't have, is so powerful that she still feels she has to keep him in the dark. And by the end of the episode, actually, she actually just steps away completely. And although, honestly, the moment broke my shipper heart into tiny little pieces that really, really hurt, I can see that. I can understand it from her point of view. And I have no doubt that she will be back eventually, because, come on, this is Beckett. She wants to be with Castle more than anything in the world, and she is so badass that she will find a way. She will put in jail whoever she has to put in jail. She will put down whoever she has to put down in order to get back to Castle. And of course, Castle himself isn't going to just be sitting around waiting for her. I mean, he respects her decision, doesn't agree with it necessarily, but he respects her decision, and it doesn't matter because he will be trying everything he can to show her that there's another way. and I'm quite sure that together, or separate but working at the same time, they will come up with a solution to their issue. Some other things that I liked about the episode were, first of all, I really liked Vikram. Like, I had that one moment when I thought, oh my god, don't make Vikram be evil, please don't. And they had me going for a second there, honestly, but I don't know, I really like Vikram. I would like for him to stick around. I don't know that he will. But I liked him. I would like to see him come back at some point. I don't know. And also Haley. I wasn't expecting her to leave. I actually thought she would like stay around and be a recurring character, so I'm not sure where they're going with her, but I liked her. And you know, it's good to have another strong female character around. Now that Captain Gates is gone, I was kind of missing the representation a bit there. So I was hoping that she would stick around, and apparently she didn't, but I guess we'll see. It'll be a long season, and this is only episode 2, so who knows. What I did like, though, was Alexis's kind of taking charge of the operation on her own. Like, obviously she's no Beckett, she's not even Haley, but she's learning and she's growing up to be quite the woman. So I really liked that it was her ideas and her way of seeing things that gave them clues that they needed in order to find Beckett. Now, okay, obviously my suspension of disbelief here was a little stretched. I mean, with the whole thing with the camera and the hotel, I mean, it's a hotel computer. You can't, it's not the type of computer that can zoom and sharpen that well. I mean, even police computers don't actually do that well in real life. So I doubt that a hotel computer can actually get to that point that you can recognize what someone's, like, see a complete picture of a document from a reflection in a mirror. I mean, that's kind of stretching it a lot, but I like the idea that Alexis saw something that a professional PI of sorts did not see. I like that because Alexis can be so great, and I think she would be a great asset to working with Castle in the PI business, if that's actually the way that they're going down. But I really love that they're including her more in the cases themselves, because Alexis is awesome. I just love her. Speaking of awesome women, of course, there's Beckett, who blows my mind. Like, every time the killers mention something about how they'd never had someone who was as hard to kill as Beckett, I was like, heck yeah. I mean, this woman is awesome. She sewed herself up in a laundromat. I mean, can you, I want to be like her when I grow up. Actually, I don't, because I don't want to be sewing myself up in a laundromat, but still, she is freaking badass, and I love that they keep showing that to us. I like the inclusion of Castle's stepmother, I guess. She was a cool character. I wasn't expecting her at all, because, you know, I you don't really think a spy like that could be married, but I think it's a nice it's kind of a nice thing to throw in, just as a parallel to what Castle and Beckett have to go through. I also like the throwback. There were quite a lot of throwbacks in these 2 episodes, like the whole FBI thing, which seemed to end pretty abruptly last season, so I'm glad they brought it back. And they even involved Bracken and Vulcan Simmons, and I like that they're bringing these things back, because those were the episodes that really, really stood out in the Castle lore. Those are the things we remember when we think of Castle. So I like that. I didn't like that Bracken died. I I mean, I expected it when he told Kate that she had painted a target on his back. I knew it was coming, but I didn't like it because I love him. I love that actor. I forget his name right now, but I love him acting as a bad guy. He's such a bad guy. He's such a great bad guy. So I'm sad to see him go. I loved Bracken. He was so evil, and I think he had a lot of potential to still be doing evil deeds even from prison. So that would have been interesting, but I guess it had to happen in order for the thing to come to closure. I didn't like that the FBI guys are actually dead. I liked McCord. I wanted to see her back. Well, that's life. I don't know. I mean, it was an interesting resolution to the episode too, but I was a bit confused at the end because they killed the FBI lady. They killed her in the end, and apparently that's it. Beckett is off the hook, and I'm just like, what? Why? I mean, just because they killed that one person, does that mean that all the other hired assassins aren't after Beckett anymore? Why? I mean, she did the search anyway, and knowing her, she would still be looking for the guilty party, so why did they just let it go? I didn't understand that, and I'm glad that Beckett isn't letting it go, because that means that eventually the thread will come back. But just as of this episode, I didn't like that resolution. I know, I understand why they had to kill the FBI lady as a patsy. I get it, but killing the patsy does not mean that the threat is gone, especially if Beckett wasn't the one to kill her in the first place. Like, they killed them themselves, so doesn't that kind of spell out that there's someone else who's the bad guy, the big bad? I thought it was sort of weird, but I'll just go with it. So yeah, in the end, the episode wasn't perfect. I still like the first one more, but it was a pretty good episode with lots of badass ladies that I hope remain that badass. Very emotional in the end, and I just it was actually also pretty cool because since the previous episode, I've been hoping for Castle's new sci-fi office to actually be useful for something, and it was so great this time around. It was so great, so I like to see that. It made me cheer. That one scene, I thought it was pretty amazing. So overall, a pretty good episode. Not as good as the first one in my opinion, but that's just my personal take on it. And I guess we're going to go down a road of this arc this season of Beckett trying to find this third partner of Bracken's, which I think fits really well with the mythology of the show. And I look forward to it, and I look forward to it trampling my poor shipper heart every other episode, because I know that's what's going to happen, let's face it. So having that professional and emotional story arc through the season will be very interesting, and I can't wait to see where they take it. So that's it for my Castle review. Remember to visit our website at thegeekypub.com for more reviews of Castle from the previous season, as well as other TV shows, books, movies, you name it, we have it. So be sure to visit, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.